Ragdolly Anna, how do you do? Ragdolly Anna, good day to you. What will you be doing today? Upstairs, downstairs, on your way. Ragdolly Anna's just like you. She knows that one and one make two. She can talk all this and that with a bunch of paper roses in a big straw hat. With a bunch of paper roses in a big straw hat.
Ragdolly Anna lives on the first, second, third floor of a block of flats with the little dressmaker, the dressmaker's dummy, and White Cat. One summer morning, the little dressmaker was trying to thread a needle. You know, when I was a child, every summer we would have a river picnic. She looked at Ragdolly Anna over the top of her glasses. You've never been to the river, have you? Ragdolly Anna shook her head. She was tidying the button box, putting the dress buttons in one pile and the tiny pearl buttons somewhere else. Next Sunday we'll go. We'll take some sandwiches and we'll get up early and catch a bus into the country. I know a place where they have rowing boats. Ragdolly Anna was so excited. She had seen photographs of a river, but never a real river, and a river picnic would be something quite new. The following Saturday evening, they got everything ready before they went to bed. Sandwiches, a flask for a hot drink in case they felt cold, a bottle for a cold drink in case they felt hot, a packet of biscuits with icing on them for a treat, some stale bread for the ducks, and Ragdolly Anna's gum boots and her life jacket. The next morning, as they were getting ready to go, they realised that White Cat was nowhere to be seen. The little dressmaker looked anxious. I don't believe he came in at all last night. Well, I wonder where he is. And I wonder if he remembers that today is the river picnic. She hung a notice for him around Dummy's neck with a piece of cotton. Gone out, back later, sardines in fridge. She picked up the basket and they went to the door. Goodbye, Dummy. See you this evening, Ragdolly Anna called as she went out. Soon they were sitting in the bus and driving out into the countryside. They looked at the fields and hedges and at cows and sheep. When they reached the end of their journey, Ragdolly Anna already had her life jacket on. They turned down the path towards the river, and who should be sitting there but White Cat. A person has to have some independence, he told them grandly. How I came, why I came, is nothing to do with you. But beside him, neatly folded, was his fishing rod and a bag. I shall not accompany you. I shall find my own private angling area. What does he mean? Whispered Ragdolly Anna to the little dressmaker.
Oh, he just means he's going to catch some fish, that's all. He just likes to sound important.
They picked up their things and walked down the path. The little dressmaker paused for a moment.
The smell.
Ragdolly Anna sniffed. There was a delicious smell. A smell of weeds and water lilies and minnows and wet wood and all sorts of exciting things she couldn't put a name to at all.
That's the river.
And there was the river itself. Ragdolly Anna had not imagined it would be so big or so beautiful. She had not guessed it would move gently all the time as if it were going somewhere and was not to be put off on any account. There were several ducks swimming about, and they came rushing up for the bread which Ragdolly Anna threw to them. They were greedy. The boats lay in a row, side by side, shifting and fidgeting. They were tied up so they couldn't float away. Some had cushions in them, and 2 oars to row with. Ragdolly Anna chose one with bright green cushions. She sat right in the middle at the back, as she didn't want to be wobbled into the water, even though she was wearing her life jacket. The little dressmaker sat down and grasped the oars. Then the boatman pushed them off, and Ragdolly Anna leaned back against the cushions as they floated on and on. At midday, they stopped for the picnic. They had tied the boat to a branch of a fallen tree and spread out the picnic on the bank. They were hungry. It seemed ages since breakfast, and they made short work of all the sandwiches and biscuits. Ragdolly Anna drank lemonade out of a bottle, but it wasn't easy, and she made glug-glug noises until she got into the way of it. When the little dressmaker had finished her last cup of tea, she turned to Ragdolly Anna.
Why don't you sit on the log and see what you can see in the water? Oh, you'll be surprised how much there is moving about. But you got to take great care. We don't want you falling in that river.
Ragdolly Anna promised to be very careful. She found a nice, comfortable place on the log, leaned over and looked down into the water. There were lots of minnows swimming briskly about. They're about as big as safety pins, she thought. Then some of them darted out into the middle of the river, and Ragdolly Anna leaned over further as she followed them with her eyes. Further, further, and a bit further.
Now, don't you lean too far. It's not safe.
So Ragdolly Anna pulled back, and suddenly, flip! A branch from the fallen tree caught the brim of her hat and tipped it neatly into the water. "Oh!" cried Ragdolly Anna. "My hat! It's gone! Quick!" The hat was floating downstream, turning round and round in circles as it went. It was certainly out of reach. The little dressmaker leapt up and immediately began piling the picnic things back into the boat. With a great deal of splashing and panting, they set off after the hat. It looked like a water lily, but a water lily that wouldn't keep still. And however hard the little dressmaker rowed, it was always just out of reach. Ragdolly Anna burst into tears, and the little dressmaker tried to comfort her. Then, through her tears, Ragdolly Anna noticed that on the bank a few yards away, somebody was fishing. It was White Cat. The little dressmaker brought the boat to the bank close to where he was, and White Cat listened quite sympathetically as Ragdolly Anna told him what had happened. "Oh, hat in the river, eh? Most unfortunate. But I think we can soon settle that little problem. It won't be the first time my fishing ward has come to the rescue." The little dressmaker tied up the boat and they set off after White Cat. He was waiting for them just where Ragdolly Anna's hat had come to rest for a moment, and there was his fishing rod. White Cat looked at the little dressmaker. "Your arms are longer than mine," he said in his most commanding voice. "You must cast the line so that the hook catches the hat. It's really quite simple." The first time the little dressmaker tried, she missed. "Oh, not far enough," jeered White Cat. The second time, the hook landed too far on the other side. "Oh, can't you humans do anything right?" he grumbled. But at the next throw, the hook caught on the straw and the hat was neatly twitched out of the water and onto the bank. Ragdolly Anna was pleased. They shook the hat and smoothed it and laid it gently on the bank to dry.
It's lucky we saw you, White Cat. Otherwise, the hat would have been lost forever.
"A little experience, a little knowledge. It's what we call know-how," said White Cat modestly. "But of course we cats are a talented race. Everybody knows that." Sitting in the bus on the way home, all three of them in a row, they felt strangely different from the other passengers. They were damp and dirty and rather dishevelled. Even White Cat was not as smart as usual.
Ragdolly Anna's fine and brown, standing up and sitting down. Ragdolly Anna's fine and fat, with a bunch of paper roses in a big straw